Welcome to the Fireside Chat for Fitness and Nutrition with Adrienne and Ken. Please remember to like and subscribe so you get all of our newest content. And today we're going to be talking about how to have healthy hips, exercises, and also foods that can help improve mobility and strength. Ken, would you like to kick us off today?
Adrienne, yes, I would. Thank you. Hips, very important. Mobility in them helps with the low back issues, helps with even knee issues. So if you have hips that are nice and mobile, nice and strong, nice and flexible, helps with a lot of different things. And they're a ball and socket joint, so they're meant to be relatively mobile, not as mobile as the shoulder, but relatively mobile. If they're not mobile, the low back will take up the slack and start to hurt. So it's important that the hips remain mobile and flexible and strong. So I'm going to show you 5 movements / stretches / mobility things that you can do for your hips. The first one is going to be what's called a 90-90 movement, or 90-90. Let me just show you what I'm talking about here. What you'll do is you'll get down on the floor. Your feet are as wide as you can comfortably get them. And you can lean back on your hands and just go like this. So this is internal rotation here, external rotation here, and then you'll just switch. Internal rotation here, external rotation here. And you're going to feel it in the hip joints in both situations. Most of it when you're with this back leg and it's pointing in, you're stretching the external rotators. And most people are tight in that more than they are in external rotation. Mm-hmm. So you're just going to go back and forth and back and forth. And you can do this for a minute or so. Just like that. And that's going to help, again, on internal and external rotation mobility. So just make sure that you can do that. And again, let me demonstrate. Again, this is a 90-90. So 90 here, 90 here, and 90 here. That's kind of where you want to start. And try and keep your feet where they are so that you end up with 90-90 again. 90 here, 90 here, and 90 here. That's what you want. And when you get really good at this, you don't lean back on your hands, which I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. So that is the 90-90 switches. The next stretch, the movement or stretch we'll do is hip flexor stretch. You'll step forward with one foot and imagine you're on 2 different railroad tracks, so your feet are wide. So if they're too far together, you're going to fall over. If you're on one railroad track or if you're on the high wire. But if you're on 2 railroad tracks, it's more supported. So you're going to pull your toe underneath your ankle of the back foot. I want you to go ahead and squeeze your glute and tilt your hips underneath you, much like a scared dog hiding its tail. It's a good analogy I like to use. And you'll start to feel this stretch right here. Now, if you don't start to feel that, you can then move forward. But when you move forward, try not to arch your back. And if you keep this buttock squeeze, this back leg squeeze, it'll be really hard for you to arch your back. So just lean forward until you feel a stretch right here. And this is stretching the hip flexor, the psoas, and the iliacus. And very important for mobility of your hips, because if they're tight, they're going to pull on your low back, because the psoas is inserted on the inside upper thigh and goes through your hip, connects to the lower 5 lumbar vertebrae. And if they're tight, it just pulls your spine forward and causes all sorts of back problems. So this is a good stretch, 30 seconds or so, 30 seconds to a minute each side, times 1 to 3 times each side. It'll loosen up those hips. So very beneficial for that. The next exercise I'm going to show you is what's called clamshells. Everybody knows what these are, but I'm just going to show them to you anyway, just to make sure. So you're going to be on your side, and your hips are stacked. So there's not one not further back than the other. They're stacked. One's on top of the other one. Your feet are stacked. Your knees are stacked. Your knees and hips are bent, and your head is supported on your hand. You can put it on a pillow or so if you want. But you just want your spine in alignment. You don't want to be like this with your head lolling down like that. So from this point, all you'll do is just lift up this top knee. You're going to separate your knees, and you're going to hold at the top. So go up as high as you can, separate until you feel this tension in the back of the hip. This is your piriformis mainly muscle working. And this is external rotation. So you want this nice and strong, especially after you do those 90-90 switches. That's loosening them up, and you want to engage the external rotators to keep what you just got. You're going to do this, say 10 to 15 times 2 to 3 sets on each side. And then that's external rotation. Internal rotation is the opposite. All you do is separate your feet. So you go like this and then back down. Separate your feet. And that's working the opposite muscle group, the internal rotators. And again, you'll do this 10 to 15 times on each side, times 2 to 3 sets. And that's gonna help with those muscles in the internal hips. The last exercise I want to show you is bridges, but alternating feet. Now, typical bridges are, and the reason, well, first off, the reason you want to do bridges is to cement what you just released doing the hip flexor stretch. So what you'll do is you'll just go, put your hands down on the floor, and you'll come up and then back down, and then back up and then back down. That's a normal bridge. But what you can do, and if that's pretty easy, what you can do is go up, lift up one foot, and then go down. Then go back up, lift up one foot, and then go back down. Now, what you don't want to do is this. I'll do it wrong. Lift up, and then go down. See how this hip dropped down? So you want to make sure that both hips, which is very challenging, both hips stay the same height, or same level as you go down. Now, a good way to do that, let me demonstrate a good way to do that. Let me see if I can get here. I have a dowel, and you can use a broom just to make sure that your hips are level. This is a really good way to make sure. So let's say, for instance, I'll show you wrong here. So you're going to go up. See how when I lift it up, it dropped. But if you're keeping it level, and back up, back down. So that's a next level bridge. So you're going up with 2, down with 1. So there's 5 movements / stretches / exercises you can do for strong, flexible hips that will help you, especially if you have low back issues. Do you have any questions, Adrienne?
So I guess one question would be the 90-90. Is that also kind of similar to windshield wipers, as people like to call it? Or is that more like when people lay on their stomachs and then they move their legs?
That's more windshield wipers. Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, 90-90. Yeah.
And then the railroad tracks that you're talking about in the exercise for the hip
The
flexors.
hip flexors,
So you're not putting your leg out in front of your hip; it's off to the side.
Yeah, let me show you from the front here. This is easier if I show you. So this is 2 different railroad tracks. This would be the same railroad track. It's kind of hard for me to balance. I'm going to lose my balance, and the stretch will not be very effective because you won't be able to balance. But if you're on 2 different railroad tracks here, then it's easier to balance.
Got it. Okay. I really liked also the clamshells, which I didn't actually know about until probably we started working together.
Oh, okay.
I think it's not necessarily common knowledge, or maybe everybody else knows and not me. But I like the inner option. I didn't
internal rotation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yes.
So those were some. I like the bridge too. And I guess one way to make the bridge harder is to like lift up and then you take one leg up even further, right? But that's not.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, well, those are some awesome things that all of us should be employing, especially since a lot of us are sitting all the time. It makes
sitting's the worst.
Sitting tight.
Yeah, makes hip flexors very tight. Sitting makes, because your hips are bent all the time, so they tighten and shorten.
Everybody should do this pretty much every day, then, right?
Every day, you can do it every day.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with that. And also, we need to eat right. Okay, this is a little tiny bit of a dad joke, perhaps, but your hips play a pivotal role in almost every movement, right?
True.
From walking to bending or dancing, just like feet, we take our hips for granted, and we usually overlook them, especially until pain or stiffness sets in. Then we're like, oh, maybe I should do something for my hips. So we do want to keep our hips strong and mobile, and it's not just about exercise because diet can play a significant role in your joint health too. It also can give you muscle strength and help you with your muscle strength and overall mobility. So let's figure out some ways that we can support your hips. One of them is anti-inflammatory ally foods, basically. So because inflammation is a major contributor to our joint discomfort and stiffness, we want to combat it with some nutrient powerhouses. One would be omega-3 fatty acids, which you can get from things like fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines. Also, you can get them from nuts and seeds. And this helps reduce inflammation and protect your joint cartilage. Very, very important. Turmeric contains curcumin, which is a potent anti-inflammatory compound. If you've ever heard of having golden milk, that's a really great idea, especially during like winter months. And that could be very anti-inflammatory too. And of course, greens, which I know people are usually into for like the first 3 weeks of the year, and then kind of forget about, but those leafy greens like the spinach, the kale, the Swiss chard, they are packed with antioxidants and vitamins like vitamin C and vitamin E, which support your joint health. So definitely include some anti-inflammatory allies. Also, consider bone building foods because your hips bear the weight of your upper body and your body in general. That makes bone health essential. And a lot of us, again, don't think about bone health until we're told that we have osteopenia or osteoporosis. So definitely consider including calcium and vitamin D rich foods from either fortified plant milks, tofu, beans can provide calcium, almonds, sesame seeds offer a calcium boost along with some healthy fats. Mushrooms that are exposed to sunlight are a really good source of vitamin D, actually. I know it's an extra step, but if you take your mushrooms outside and expose them to sunlight, you actually get more vitamin D. And then also protein, because the muscle strength around our hips does support our mobility and it prevents injury. So consider having things like legumes, like lentils, chickpeas, black beans. Those are excellent sources of plant-based protein. Also quinoa and amaranth, which usually people don't know too much about that, but amaranth is actually pretty high in protein. So that can also give you not just protein, but energizing carbohydrates, which could be useful for our workouts, right? And then, of course, those are foods, but hydration is also really key. And that the water helps keep our joints lubricated. It keeps our muscles functioning properly. You can try things like herbal teas and water-rich foods like cucumber, watermelon, celery, also to just get more water in. And of course, we want to take more of a comprehensive or holistic approach when we think about our hips and our health in general. If you pair your nutrient-rich diet, the things we just talked about, with regular movement, like Ken discussed, a couple of different exercises there, do those for hip flexibility and strength. You can also include things like yoga, Pilates. It seems easy, but it's really hard. A targeted resistance training for your hips, really important. And also, it's not just what we do, but we need recovery time. So try to get some sleep, manage your stress well, because all of this is crucial to reducing inflammation and supporting your overall health, not just for your hips, but for your whole body. So that's something that I would consider. Lots of different things, actually. Any questions?
No, that's a good points there. I appreciate it.
And anything that you would like to offer to our audience today?
Just be consistent in what you do. You can do this every day if you do body weight. It's body weight. If it's more than body weight, it's every other day. And rest is important for sure. Yeah, just consistent. What about you, Adrienne?
I would say just pick one thing. Do one of Ken's exercises. Don't sign yourself up for all 5 if that feels a little bit overwhelming. You'll work your way up. Have some more water today. It can be so simple and yet add up over time. We love having you guys on this channel. Please also comment. Let us know what has worked for you, how you keep your hips healthy, anti-inflammatory foods that you like to include, and also any topics we haven't discussed yet that you would like us to. And we will see you all next week. Take care.
Bye.